This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Hindu.
Good evening, this is News Tonight on NDTV Hindu. I'm Evelyn Matthew.
Parents are fighting back and have given a tough reply to private schools. I'm Manal Shah and I'll bring you all the latest on that.
I'm Shabir Ahmed and I'll bring you all the latest on the controversy surrounding Archbishop Chinpa.
That's right, plenty lined up in the next 30 minutes, but first let's take a look at our top stories. The parents' community resorts to the legal tool and gets set to file a plea against the stay order on school fees.
We are going to vacate the stay. We are going to file a writ against that.
An archbishop comes out in his defense on allegations of land dealing. The diocese pledges to retrieve it in a week's time.
Will give a such a vast area to a man for a mutual understanding. This is something very funny.
என்னோட வரும்போது நானாக போய்விடுகிறேன். எனக்கு இந்த சொத்து தேவையில்லை. எனக்கு பல இடங்களிலே ஆண்டவன் எனக்கு சொத்து கொடுத்திருக்கிறார்.
As the Enduran fever is on, the lucky ones get the biggest cash of the day as tickets sell out for the first 3 days after release.
இந்த படம் உலக அளவுல பெரிய மாபெரும் மாபெரும் வெற்றி அடையணும். 50 தடவை நான் பாப்பேன் சார்.
He's unbelievable. He's like a superhero.
On International Coastal Cleanup Day, more than 12,000 pairs of hands get digging and cleaning at the second longest beach in the world. Ahead of the World Heart Day, the top cop of the city talks matters about the heart and a quick tip to Chennaiites.
And I choose, the de-stressing points as per my timing and, as per my, game schedule. And that helps me a lot.
The city's beaches rolls out the sands to 80 teams as they get down to slamming and dunking in a challenge of volleyball. And a colourful dance extravaganza marks 1,000 years of the big temple, making it the perfect mix of art, culture and tradition. Let's also take a quick scan of what's making news in the rest of the country. The Home Minister delivers a breather for the youth involved in the Kashmir clash and those arrested in stone pelting to be freed. The Commonwealth Federation's boss sends out a ray of hope but says extensive work still needs to be done.
Have to share the blame and share the responsibility. We're quite clear about what we do.
As an encounter rolls out with Maoists in Jharkhand, the Chief Minister urges for the unconditional release of the corpse on humanitarian grounds. The Chief Justice of India will head the 3-judge bench hearing of the postponed Ayodhya verdict petition. The Iranian president's comments rake up old wounds, leaving Obama hurt and offended that US was responsible for 9/11. And the trainer of India's Olympic king becomes the first Indian to win the International Wrestling Federation's Coach of the Year award. Now, cleaning up the second longest beach of the world is undoubtedly a huge task ahead. But starting with more than 200 kilometers is a good beginning, and taking that step were close to 13,000 volunteers who swept the eastern coastline to mark the International Coastal Cleanup Day. Our reporter Pratiksha brings you the sight of what looked picture perfect today.
Did you ever believe that a beach in Chennai could ever be this clean? This is the Thiruvanmiyur beach. Hundreds of NCC cadets from schools and colleges across the city combed the beaches for litter and garbage. On a hot and humid Saturday morning, as part of activities to mark the International Coastal Cleanup Day.
We are very enthused by the response last year, so we have increased it because our aim is to cover the entire Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry coast in the next 3 years. And the volunteers have been very good. So we said we'll go 3 times up, and it's a challenge, and the challenge has been taken by these young volunteers who walk the talk.
Volunteers stepped forward in large numbers to clean up the state's 200-kilometer coastline. Shipping Minister G.K. Vasan flagged off the effort, and the activists fanned out in batches, from Pulicat Lake in the north to Kanyakumari in the far south.
This awareness and the function which is being held today will give a kickstart for a clean environment in the coastal region in future. The state government and the central government with various sponsors are continuously supporting this effort, and this is a part of it. You're seeing the Chennai mayor today with me. I'm also happy that the Indian Maritime University, which comes under the shipping ministry, is taking an active part today.
நாங்கள் வந்து நான் கேடட்ஸ் நம்ம என்சிசி கேடட்ஸ் வந்து பிளாஸ்டிக் கலெக்ட் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம். இட் மீன்ஸ் நான் பயோடிகிரேடபிள் பேக்ஸ்லாம் கொடுத்துருக்காங்க கலெக்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு. அப்புறம் அவேர்னஸ் ப்ரோக்ராம் மாதிரி நடக்குது. நிறைய சிப்பீஸ்லாம் கலெக்ட் பண்ணுறோம் நம்ம.
This year's cleanup effort is different, with the Indian Maritime Foundation looking at ways to recycle the waste, mostly plastic and glass bottles.
What we are doing is to collect data as to what is the type of trash that is accumulating in different coastal belt and find ways and means at the village or panchayat level to eliminate such trash in due course of time. And we are looking at low-cost solutions through research and development with the universities and colleges.
Well, this time it is going to be a cleanup with a difference because these students are actually giving out pamphlets to villagers and they're carrying out kits to educate them on how to be a little more hygienic so that this effort is sustainable and not just a one-day drama. In Chennai, Pratiksha Ramkumar for NDTV Hindu.
And joining me this evening on News Tonight is Rear Admiral K.R. Vasan, Vice President with the Indian Maritime Foundation, the Chennai chapter. Thanks very much indeed for coming into our studios. Kudos to you first for bringing out such an endeavour on a sunny Saturday morning. But not all is settled if this happens on just one day. How do you plan to make this a movement rather? How frequently do you plan to bring this in the next year maybe?
I think one of the major aims of this is to create awareness in the coastal population and the younger generation. I think that will take some time, but it's having effect, I can see. Like we have a coastal cleanup pamphlet which we distribute to 25,000 copies are being distributed along the coastal belt to educate. It's a slow process, but it's coming up. As the statistics itself this year shows, there is an improvement, I can see.
Right. When you say that you're sending out these pamphlets, I assume these are to the villages or maybe to the slums as well that live along that stretch. Is it easy reaching out to them through pamphlets, or is it better to communicate maybe through a drama or a skit to that locality, that community?
Well, other means of communication is always good. I'm not saying that. But this itself has had effect because the volunteers go and talk to them and they seem to understand the need to, do better from their part to keep the coast clean.
All right. Also, in that story we played out, we were saying that there was also research work that is being put in place, a lot of data being collected. How is that going to be used in the next few days?
I won't say a lot of data has been collected. We are collecting the data. We started collecting last year. With the first time we are doing in the Chennai belt. We did 72 kilometers last year. This year we are doing 207 kilometers we are done. So we are collecting data, and the type of problems in different coastal belt is different. It's not the same everywhere. So unless we have some reasonable good data, then only we will be able to work with the institutions like colleges and universities to work out some low cost solutions at the village level so that this trash is converted into wealth at the village level.
All right. Now that you've covered quite a stretch and you've amassed that amount of garbage as well, what is your step ahead? Where will this be taken forward to?
Well, as I said, we are aiming at covering the entire Tamil Nadu coast in the next 3 to 4 years. But the major constraint now is not the volunteers or the people to get to work, but the major constraint now is the funding. Because we follow international norms, so we have to give them the cleanup kits with certain items.
Are you looking to involve the state government as well maybe in this?
Well, I wish the state government takes it because the amount involved is very negligible compared to a state budget. So I wish the state government takes interest, and probably if they fund it, we can even do it every 3 months or 6 months on a regular basis because the colleges and the institutions are quite keen to undertake.
I guess the awareness has already set in. It's just bringing in that money which is most important. Thanks very much indeed, Admiral Vasan, for joining us this evening in our studios. Well, moving on to other news that's been making headlines in the city. In the last few weeks at least, we have been waking up to the news that parents have been up in arms against schools and have been protesting outside schools against excess fees. Now, tired of the government's inaction and the private schools' indifference, they have decided to follow the private schools in taking legal action. Our reporter Minal Shah caught up with an angry parent who now wants to ensure that the future of their children does not get compromised.
We regret why at all we have our children in the private school. We have neglected the government school, we regret.
Parents all set for a head-on battle with the private schools. After angry protests, they are now following what the private schools started. A group of parents are set to file a plea to vacate the stay order on the government's fee structure. Though the government's silence has been heartbreaking, parents are still hoping that their suggestions would be taken into account.
Especially the governing body which is available in the electricity board, you cannot take a stay. Whatever the action taken, whatever the decision taken by the governing body, that stands. So this is what we want the Tamil Nadu government to have a assembly meeting, let them pass a bill. This is what we are going to file it for, and we want this government to do what is available in the Tamil Nadu electricity board. Let that same be favored to the government, this thing in the institution, education institution also.
As of now, 6,400 schools have not agreed with the prescribed recommendations.
I don't find any reason as to why there should be an agitation, irritation by the parents, because nobody is compelled to admit a child in a particular school. Now, government schools are doing much better. Their facilities are much higher now with respect to what it was 5 years or 10 years back. So very well they can get free education in the schools in the neighborhood.
The final hearing on the fee structure row is slated for the 29th of November. For a while now, parents have been standing up and voicing out their anger. But the bottom line is, they want the revised fee structure recommended by the Govindarajan Committee to be implemented this academic year. In Chennai, Minal Shah, NDTV Hindu.
And joining us live from our newsrooms is our reporter Minal Shah, who has been tracking that story. Minal, all kinds of demands have been brought to the table by those parents, but the big question is whether the school education minister, the one being the responsible minister, has he really reacted to this, or maybe even lend a ear for hearing to their queries?
Well, Evelyn, the government stand from the start has been only one, and that's silence. They have not come out in support of parents. In fact, from the time Chief Minister Karunanidhi himself had reiterated the fact that the Govindarajan Committee's fee structure should be implemented, none of the schools have followed it. They have all shrugged off the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister's support too. So it looks like parents were left in a lurch, and after that point, there's been no response from the government. In fact, we have tried talking to Education Minister Thangam Thennarasu, and the only thing he's done is maintain silence, or the only thing he would tell us is he's not aware of the details and he wants to know more about it before he comes back to us on that. So this is the stand of the government. They have kept themselves away from the whole issue because they don't want to interfere between this. But parents are the people left in the lurch, burning pockets for the future of their children, and private schools who they say are taking advantage of this very situation.
Right. Thanks very much indeed, Minal, for joining us with those details. Clearly, the parents, a troubled lot even today, with no real answer from the government side. Well, there's plenty more coming up from the state and the city. That's coming up on the other side.